Thank you, Jordan. Please don't go far as we move to our next update. As Russian President Vladimir Putin strongly condemned the killing of Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei in what he described as a cynical murder that violated all standards of human morality and international law. He offered condolences to Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian and criticized the strike that killed Khamenei as a breach of legal and ethical norms. Putin called the killing a serious affront to global standards. The comments come amid heightened US-Israel military action in Iran and rising regional tensions. And joining us again live, we have Thomas Porteous, anchor and correspondent at NewsX World. Thomas, are these comments from Putin a bit rich, considering he's debating international law and the legitimacy of attacks?
Well, of course, Ruby, the Kremlin, a long-time ally of the Iranian regime, and that is just one of the latest reactions as the world is, of course, shocked by the escalation that has happened in such a quick fashion. Moscow has called it pre-planned and an unprovoked act of aggression, but he is, of course, is not alone. The likes of the United Nations Secretary General has condemned the US operation and also questioned the legality of the strikes, along with the UN Human Rights Chief Volker Turk. Of course, more critics emerged from inside the United States. Donald Trump didn't get congressional approval for these strikes, something which George Bush did in 2003. So there is a huge skepticism around that. Europe is looking balanced and uneasy in terms of reactions. We saw Prime Minister Keir Starmer come out and say that they had no part in the strikes, but were monitoring the situation very closely. China, of course, another ally of Iran, has labeled the US attack and Israeli attack brazen aggression. So, of course, you're seeing these polarizing sides emerge in their response to this ongoing and developing situation. In terms of South Asia, we've seen that violence break out in Pakistan, which outside the Iranian consulate, which has led to 9 people losing their lives. There is, of course, limited information coming out of that as well. Masoud Pezeshkian, the president of Iran, has called this an attack on the Muslim world, and especially the Shiite Muslim world. So the gravity of this cannot be disputed. It is a hugely polarizing and consequential update.
Thomas, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your thoughts on these updates. Now, moving to our next breaking story, Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz has vowed that powerful airstrikes on Tehran will continue after a dramatic escalation in the conflict with Iran. Katz stated that the Israel Defense Forces are carrying out intensive strikes targeting regime sites in the Iranian capital, with aircraft now operating directly over Tehran in what he described as part of Operation Lion's Roar to hit regime and suppression targets. He added that an uninterrupted air bridge will support ongoing powerful attacks deep inside Tehran as Israel seeks to undermine Iran's ability to retaliate, following the killing of Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei by Israel-US strikes. The situation remains highly fluid and with further military action expected. Joining us again live, we have Jordan Cope, a Middle East expert, joining us live from London. Now, Jordan, what are your thoughts on Katz's statement?
I think it ultimately reflects the reality that's going on right now. Israel is targeting within central Tehran significant sites and a significant operation. Together with the United States in this general operation, there have already been 1,400 airstrikes and counting. But currently, as we speak, efforts to attack ballistic missile sites and key government defense sites. We've now seen the Ayatollah's compound attacked. We've now seen the defense ministry attacked. We've seen several very key important strategic sites within the Iranian government apparatus attacked. Now, I quickly do want to pivot back to some comments regarding international law, regarding US domestic law. I believe the United States is perfectly within its realm to have launched this attack alongside Israel. One must not forget that the war did not begin today. The war began years ago when Iran became one of the largest state sponsors of terrorism in the world, sponsoring $700 million to Hezbollah per year, sponsoring $100 to $350 million to Hamas a year, $100 to $300 million to the Houthis a year. All of these entities have either completely intercepted governance in some of these territories, thwarting the right to self-determination of the peoples in these Arab countries. But if we're not going to talk about Iran's involvement in sponsoring terrorist groups that have been responsible for some of the largest terrorist attacks in the recent history of mankind, igniting wars all throughout the Middle East, one must not forget that Iran has stated clearly and plainly its intent to destroy Israel, and has also made very clear its intent to develop a nuclear weapons program. Regarding domestic law in the United States, one must not forget that the War Powers Act is not generally triggered when it comes to launching key airstrikes, which is what the United States has done in this operation, but is rather triggered when it comes to ground operations. And it should not be forgotten that President Obama and President Biden also launched airstrikes killing key terrorist leaders, such as Osama bin Laden under Obama, for example. Nobody really at that moment claimed that Obama needed to trigger the War Powers Act and go through Congress to fund the war. That's not generally what the War Powers Act is. So it will be very interesting to see how this war develops. Iran right now seems to be in a desperate, suicidal state in an effort to try to coax the international coalition to intervene, which is why it's now attacking all of these countries in the GCC and potentially even targeting a British airbase in Cyprus. That attack is not a mistake, it is intentional. Cyprus is an island in the middle of the Eastern Mediterranean. Iran is desperate and its tactics show it.
Now, Jordan, please don't go far as we move to our next story and update. China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi has condemned the blatant killing of a sovereign leader and calls for an immediate cessation of military actions, describing the incitement of regime change as unacceptable. He emphasized China's stance on returning to dialogue and negotiations, opposing unilateral actions. Wang Yi further criticized the attacks launched by the US and Israel against Iran during ongoing US-Iran negotiations, calling these actions unacceptable and urging for peaceful resolutions to the escalating tensions in the Middle East. To our next update, the US air defenses have intercepted a drone over a US military base near Erbil Airport, according to security sources. The incident marks a significant security development in the region. Details of the drone's origin and potential threat are still unclear. The US has yet to release further information on the interception. According to the German Research Center for Geosciences, a powerful earthquake of magnitude 5.8 has struck Kyushu, Japan. This breaking news, the earthquake recorded at a depth of 122 kilometers, has raised concerns about possible aftershocks. Japan's location on the Pacific Ring of Fire makes it prone to frequent seismic activity. Authorities are monitoring the situation closely. Locals are urged to stay alert and prepare for further tremors as the situation unfolds. And that's all that we have time for. Please keep watching NewsX World for more news updates from around the world.